Okay, so now that we have our simple gravity working where our player moves down and then detects the collision with our ground tile map, we want to start allowing them to move left and right. So let's close this. Let's go back to our create event and let's add a x speed, and we're just going to set that to begin with the value of 0. And for the first time, we're going to have the ability to take some input from the person playing the game. Input from user. And we are going to have a left key. And we're going to set that to 0 to start with. And we're going to have a right key. And we're going to set that to 0 to start with. Okay. Now we need to go down to a step event where things actually happen 60 times every second, and we are gonna move this down a little bit, and we're gonna say player movement, and the way this is gonna work is, let's say player movement input. We are going to use these variables, so let's say left key. I can autocomplete that using tab. And we're going to use a function called keyboard, and I can just move down here and then hit tab, keyboard check. And we are going to type in ORD A. So this is just a little function that allows us to enter in the letter A, and the keyboard check is going to look out for when the A key is pressed, and when it is pressed, it's going to change the value of left key from 0 to 1. Pretty basic stuff. Okay, semicolon, and then let's do the same for right key, tab to autocomplete. I can go down here, keyboard check, and then ORD, and I'm going to put in D here because we're going to go for like the standard WASD kind of movement. And then we're going to do semicolon. And then next up, we need to actually figure out how these inputs... Oh, got a little mistake here. What's missing? My brackets are missing there. And that means that I need to add an extra one at the end here. Blue matches blue, red matches red. The red line's gone. Okay. So let's go down, and now we are going to say our x speed, which we set up at the start, which currently is set to 0. We're going to change it. So we are going to say right key minus left key, and I'm just gonna, let's just leave it at that just now, right key minus left key. So if the left key is pressed, then that's going to have a value of 1. The right key is not pressed, so it's going to have the value of 0. So we're going to have 0 minus 1, which will give us minus 1. So that's going to move our x coordinates to the left. So we're taking away our x. If we have the right key, which is going to be set to 1, the left key is going to be 0. That's going to be 1 minus 0, which means our x speed will be 1. And that's going to move us to the right, as we saw in our kind of coordinate-based system. So now we need to actually, in the same way as we tied this to the y of our player object, we're going to go in here and we are going to tie this to our x. So let's see. Oh, we need to say plus equals x underscore speed. So we're going to take what our x value is and we're going to add this onto it, which is either going to be 1 in this case, or negative 1 if we have got the left key pressed down. So let's press this and see what happens. So A, moving to the left, D, moving to the right. pretty slow at this point, so let's update our code a little bit. And let's add some comments in here as well. Calculate x speed, and then I can say apply x speed. And as you get used to this and get more advanced, you wouldn't need to add quite as many comments, but let's just make it as readable as possible right now. So how can we make our movement a little bit faster? Let's go back up here and let's go in here and let's add another variable. So I can say move speed, and our move speed is going to be set at this point by default to, let's say, 5. Okay. And then let's use that by editing how we set up our x speed here. So I can tie this up in some brackets. So we're going to calculate the result of that, and then we're going to use this symbol which stands for multiply, and we're going to multiply that by move speed. So now rather than having 1 or -1, we're going to have 1 times 5, which is 5, or -1 times 5, which is -5. So that should effectively multiply our movement speed to make it a lot quicker. Okay. So it's kind of working, but our player, it doesn't look very kind of realistic. So let's close this, and let's see if we can make use of these other sprites. So we've got our walking sprite. It's not really kind of walking, it looks a bit more like running to me. So yeah, let's try and use this to make our movement a whole lot better. So let's go back to our code. And then let's say sprite animations. And what we're going to do is we're going to use another if statement here. So we're going to make some decisions. So if, and then I can say, let's open up some brackets here, and we're going to say if our x speed is not equal to 0, space, curly bracket, then do whatever is inside these curly brackets. So I can say sprite index, and it's going green like the x and y did, so it's a kind of built-in attribute of our object, so sprite index, and then we can basically start typing here, and again you'll see the autocomplete is going to pop up, so I can either click on it with the mouse or I can use the arrow keys and then tab to select it. So this means if our x speed is equal to 0, do whatever inside here. The exclamation mark basically flips it to the opposite, so if it's not equal to 0, oh, that's not right. That should say walking. So if our x speed, is either -5 or 5, then we're moving left and right. We should be using the walk animation. We also need to add a little bit extra code for what happens when x speed is actually 0. So I can go in here and say else, run whatever is inside this code. So we're going to say sprite underscore index is equal to sprite or spr player idle semicolon. Okay, so if our x speed is not 0, use this sprite for our player, and if it is, then use the idle animation. So let's see what happens here. Okay, A and E. So we're getting closer, but not quite there still. Our player is facing the wrong way, doing some kind of mad moonwalk. So let's close this. And what we need to do is figure out a way of detecting which way we should be facing. Okay, so we can jump in here, and I'm going to say sprite direction, and then let's make it happen. Surprise, surprise, we're going to do another if statement. If statements are super powerful, we use them a lot, so you'll pick up the way they work, hopefully pretty quickly. So let's open up our brackets, and we're going to say if our x speed is greater than 0, then curly brackets, do whatever's in here. Let's leave that just now. I can say else if, and then I can open up this, x underscore speed is less than 0, curly brackets, do whatever is in here. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to go back up to the top and we're going to create a variable which is going to store whichever way our player is facing. So let's drop it into our movement variables here, and let's just call it facing, and let's have our person facing to the right by default at the start. Okay, so a positive value in this case, like 1, is going to be pointing to the right, a negative is going to be pointing to the left. Okay, so if our x speed is greater than 0, what are we going to do? We are going to set facing equals 1. Okay, so if we're moving to the right, we're facing 1. If we are less than 0, moving to the left, excuse me, we're going to say facing is -1. Oh, I've got a little red line there because I forgot to put in the equals there. And then we're going to use another built-in attribute excuse me, of our object, which is something called image underscore x scale, and we can set it to the value of what our facing is going to be. So when our character is moving to the right, facing is going to be 1, which means this value here, our x scale, will be set to 1, which just means leave it as normal. If we're moving to the left, our facing is going to be -1, and we're going to set this value to -1, which basically means to flip our sprite horizontally. Okay, and let's do a quick little kind of comment there. Apply facing direction to sprite. Okay, let's run it. Here we go. That looks pretty cool. So now we've got our gravity working, we are landing on the ground, and we are moving left and right, and then we're idling when we're not pressing anything. Yeah, making progress.